everyone, and welcome to the last enrichment video of the series. Today I decided to do something different. I'm going to show you how to make some delicious banana bread. This is one of my favorite recipes to make and I wanted to share it with all of you. I'm going to put the recipe on the screen next so that you can see it, and I'll tell you what you need. So you're going to need some flour, some sugar, bananas, baking soda, butter, salt, and vanilla. And then I'm going to throw the recipe up on the screen next so you can see how much of each one we're going to need. Alright, so before you start on your mixture, you want to make sure that you preheat your oven to 350 degrees. I started preheating mine a couple minutes ago. That way it's ready to go when we're done making the recipe. Once the oven is on, you can start on your banana bread mix. So I went ahead and I measured everything out into all these separate bowls so that you didn't have to sit and watch me measuring things slowly. I forgot to mention at the beginning, and you probably noticed it in the recipe, but I forgot to lay out that you also need 2 eggs. So first, you're going to mix together the butter and the sugar until they're well mixed. I'm gonna start by pouring my sugar, medium-sized bowl. Then, I'm just gonna flop that butter into the sugar. Now, the best way to get softened butter is to let it sit out overnight, kind of out on your counter. That way it's nice and soft and ready to go. However, I was kind of impatient. I took my butter right out of my fridge and I stuck it in the microwave for about 12 seconds. Now, that's not ideal, but you know, I wanted banana bread. I didn't want to wait overnight for it. So you're just gonna keep mixing and mixing. So as you can see, that butter and sugar is now nice and mixed together. So next you're going to add the bananas and mash them all up. So ideally you want a banana that's like brown and spotty, kind of gross looking. This one's a little too unripe, but you know, it's still gonna taste really good. So I'm just gonna peel my banana, take off that skin, and I'm gonna break my banana into little bits because it makes it a little bit easier. This is definitely my favorite part of the recipe. Once you have all your bananas in there, you get to squish it with a fork. That's always super, super fun. I really like it. It's my favorite part of making banana bread. I mean, besides eating the banana bread. You're gonna wanna use 3 bananas because that will help make your banana bread really moist and really banana-y. Boom, 3 bananas. Now it's time to start squishing it. Yes, just keep squishing and squishing the bananas. Now, as I mentioned, you probably want to use some bananas that are a little more ripe than the ones that I used. And when they're more ripe, they're easier to squish. So you're just gonna keep squishing them and squishing them. And then as you're squishing them, you're kind of mixing together the bananas with that sugar and butter. Sugar butter banana mix. You're just gonna squish them until they're mostly squished up. Doesn't have to be all squishy. There can be little lumps. It's really up to you. Boy, now it's starting to smell like bananas. So, there we go. They're all squished up. And then up next, you're going to crack into eggs. Be really careful not to get any shells in there because you don't want crunchy banana bread. That would be kind of strange. It's got one egg cracked in there. Oh, this one's gonna crack vertically. Oh boy. And then we got 2 eggs in there. I'm just gonna grab a napkin to wipe off my hands to get that egg off because that's so sticky. Then you're going to just gently mix in these eggs into the mixture. Just a little bit so they're starting to get together. And if you see any chunks of banana at this point, you can also squish those down a little more. Alright, so once you have the eggs in there, you're going to add the vanilla. And you can use regular vanilla or you can use the imitation vanilla flavor. This kind's a little bit cheaper, but it does taste just as good. So I'm gonna measure half a teaspoon into my banana bread. Boom, got vanilla in our banana bread. Gonna mix that just a little bit. And vanilla is actually one of my favorite ingredients to use. It reminds me of baking cookies with my mom when I was little, so it always brings back all of those nice memories. I love it. Definitely still squishing up some of those banana bits. So once you have them all mixed together, you're going to carefully pour in the flour. I'm going to pour in just a little at a time, probably about half of the bowl of flour. Just mix it up, mix it up. Boy, it's starting to come together. Then I'm just going to dump the rest of the flour in there. I'm mixing in that 1.5 cups of flour. And then before it's all mixed together, I am going to take my half teaspoon of salt. Just shake it on in there. And then I'm going to take my 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Dump it on in. Now it's time to just mix and mix and mix until everything is nice and mixed together. Really want to kind of scrape the bottom and scrape the sides. Make sure you're getting all those dry ingredients mixed in with those wet ingredients. Oh man, I'm excited. It's coming together. Oh, the more I mix this, the more excited I am getting for my banana bread. I can't wait. So, as you can see, it is all nice and mixed together. So I'm going to set it off to the side right here. And it's time to get out a loaf pan. I'm using kind of a bigger one. I don't really know the exact measurements of this one. I think it's like 9 inches by 3 inches. That sounds about right. But it's a bigger loaf pan. And next, you're gonna need to grease the pan. Now you can use the Pam grease spray. That works really well. But I personally like to take a little bit of butter and a paper towel. Now this part's kind of messy, but it works for me. I'm gonna take a little bit of butter and I'm just gonna spread it all over my bread pan, making sure you're getting into all those nooks and crannies. Getting a nice layer of butter in there. Now you don't want it to be too thick or anything. but just enough to make sure that our banana bread doesn't stick to the sides. Look at that. It is greased and ready to roll. So, I'm gonna take one last look at my batter, making sure most of those little banana pieces are squooshed up into the batter. And I am going to use my rubber spatula, clean off that fork, take it out of there, get out of the way, fork, and then it's time to pour the mixture into the loaf pan. Now you can definitely use your fork you are using to mix. I just choose to use my rubber spatula so I can get every last little bit of my mixture into my pan. Yes, delicious. Then I'm going to spread the mixture, making sure it gets into all those corners. There we go. Gonna make it as even as I can. There we go. We have our banana bread mix in our loaf pan, and I think it's ready to go into the oven now. Alright, so as I mentioned earlier, I had my oven up to 350 degrees, and I want to be really careful when you're putting this into the oven. Gonna just stick it right on in there and put it right in the middle. Tuck it into the oven. A little hard to see from the reflections, but my banana bread is in the oven. Now I'm going to set my timer for 55 minutes. So this banana bread is going to cook for 55 minutes at 350 degrees. And I'm just gonna leave it in the oven and come back for it when the timer goes off. So I am checking on my banana bread right now. Gonna carefully pull it out of the oven with my bare hands. They're not bare hands. It's my little bare oven mitt. I love it. So I'm gonna pull out my banana bread. As you can see, there's about 9 minutes left on it. So I'm gonna check and see how cooked this banana bread is. And I'm gonna do that using a knife, or you can use a chopstick. I'm gonna stick it right in the middle. Stick it on down and see how cooked it is. Now there's a little bit sticking to the knife, so that tells me that my banana bread needs more time in the oven. So I'm gonna let it finish those 8 minutes and then check on it again. It is time to take out the banana bread. Please ignore the potatoes sizzling. Started making my lunch while I was waiting for this to cook. Anyway, banana bread! Gonna take it out of the oven. Ooh, it looks like it might be done. Going to carry it over. I actually just set out my cooling rack right over here. And as I did earlier, going to take my trusty knife and check to see if it's fully cooked. Oh boy. Looks like it's fully cooked. I'm gonna do one more stab at it just to double check. And that is one clean knife. So the banana bread is officially done cooking. Hooray! It should have this nice crisp brown top. And now you're just gonna let it cool for about 10 minutes. And then once it's cooled, parents, you can grab a knife and slice out a few slices and enjoy. So, I just want to thank you all for tuning in for these enrichment activities. I had a ton of fun filming them for you, and I hope you enjoyed them as well. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and have fun making some banana bread. Bye!